Welcome everybody, whether you're watching live or you're seeing the recording. This is a very special podcast and I'm really happy to have you here because we're going to go into detail about the Vital Harmony Cohort and what this whole sacred exchange thing is about and what the idea of contributionism about and what a special healing container that we're going to create together. So before we get into all that, I would just like to open sacred space and you can follow along, or if you want to say your own prayer, however you want to do this is totally fine. It's up to you. So let's get into it. I want to make sure that my audio is set up so you can hear it. There we go. Winds of the South, Pachamama, great mother of the waters, great serpent, wrap your luminous coils around us and show us the beauty way, walking close to the earth like you do. Show us the way of shedding our past like you shed your skin all at once. Hampway, Hampway, Pachamama, come into our medicine space. Aho. Winds of the West, Otorongo, Mother, Sister, Jaguar, you who walk through the darkest shadows of the jungle with courage, show us the way of walking beyond death and of making death our ally, and of having no enemies, not even ourselves. Hampway, Otorongo, Hampway, come into our medicine space and help us open our hearts to the container. Aho. Winds of the North, Siwa Kente, Royal Hummingbird, ancestors, come and warm your hands by our fire and whisper your stories in our ears. Hummingbird, show us how to make the impossible journey today. Show us how to drink only the sweet nectar from life. Humpway, ancestors, Humpway, Siwa Kente, come into our medicine space. Aho. Winds of the East, Eagle, Condor, allies of prophecy, we know that when you fly together, we are in the time of great change. Apuchin, Kuntur, you fly from the lands of the rising sun beyond the furthest mountains. You fly wingtip to wingtip with the Creator. Enfold us in your wings. Show us the true sight of seeing everything as it truly is, as energy. Show us the way of seeing things from high above with perfect clarity, to see things right in front of us the same way. Hampway, Apuchin, Hampway, Kuntor, Aho. Pachamama, sweet mother, bring together all of our relations for healing, the plant people, the stone people, the finned, the furred, the hoofed, the winged, the creepy crawlers, the seen and the unseen. All of our relations, Pachamama, bring them here. We heal together. In this community, this is what our container is about, is healing as community. So bring them all, Pachamama. Sweet Mother. Oh. Inti Taita, Mama Kia, Father Sun, Grandmother Moon, and all the star nations, hermanos y hermanas de Chaska. Come, you who have been named 1,000 times and yet remain nameless. Illuminate our path with your wisdom, your love, and your light. Show us the way of healing in community and helping not only ourselves, but everyone around us. Humpway, Humpway, come into our medicine space. Aho. Okay, welcome. Glad you're all here. Spirit always welcomes in the people that are supposed to be in the circle. And I know a lot of people watch the recordings, so welcome you too. What we learn in doing this work is that time and space don't really matter for energy. So I called this podcast, this session, Descent to Expansion, because I feel like what I've been going through is being mirrored by a lot of other people, because they're telling me the same thing, that we're in a time of great change and great turmoil, personally and at a macro level in the world. And a lot of people are very challenged. They don't really know what to do with all that. They're just trying to survive, get through each day. And what I'm here to talk about today, and welcome your input to talk about as well, is the idea that we heal in community. So there's a big challenge with that. What community? Where do we find that community that we can heal in? How do we help others in a way where we don't deplete ourselves? And that's what I'm going to talk about today, because I have some information, some charge, some energy that has come through to me about a way to make this happen. And I feel really honored and blessed to bring this to you, and I'm really excited about it. So let's get into it. So I want to first talk about the idea of third space. Not my idea. It's something that I picked up along my travels. We have three spaces as humans. We have our first space is our family, and our second space is our work, where we produce, right? The family is really where we rest. Second space is where we produce. But third space is our issue, because it used to be the village, and not very long ago. Other cultures live very differently than we do in the West, and they always have their village to rely on. But what we've kind of adopted this lifestyle where we're more connected than ever electronically, but less connected emotionally. So what do? We can't go down to the corner pub, or we can't go out to the village and just call upon an elder to get advice, or a peer to go, fishing with, or something like that. We don't have those options anymore. And in fact, when we do try to engage online, we're met with a lot of oppositional energy, and energy that agitates us rather than soothes us, right? So that's where Vital Harmony comes in. The whole concept of my company, my group, is to restore the balance, to bring in the harmony that isn't optional in our lives. It's vital for our health and well-being. So the third space is really where we do our interaction and our healing, and uplift each other. A lot of us have relied on places like church and things in the past for that too, but I've heard a lot from people that I know that they're not getting what they need in those spaces anymore either. So what we're left with is co-creating that space ourselves. And that's why we're here, is to co-create that space. So I want to talk about what service is, what service looks like, because we're in this age where codependence and interdependence are mistaken for service. And what that gives us is depletion and lack of energy. We're giving up all of our energy for the state, for a family member, for, a spouse. We're giving it up, and we're not getting anything in return. And it's not because people are trying to keep that energy from you. It's because it's the energy in which you give that is not balanced. And so there can be no reciprocity. There can be no balance coming back. So what is the service that I'm talking about in the third space, in the community? How does that work? We need to first think about, this is not a transaction. We're not giving to get. Okay? That may be what happens, but that's not where our heart is. We're giving because we want to raise the energy of the collective, the group that we're in. and know and trust that that energy will then take care of us. So when we get really locked into our own little world and how we can give on a one-on-one basis or with our small group family, whatever, it's really easy to kind of fall into that codependence trap where it's like, I'll just do it, or I'll do it this way because that's the way that makes me feel comfortable, whether or not it's the right thing for the other person, right? So some of this will be uncomfortable because it's giving in a new way, right? So Ayni, Ayni, the Quechua word, is sacred reciprocity. And it's that concept that I was just talking about where you're giving to raise the energy of the collective, knowing that the collective will take care of you. In Africa, they refer to a very similar concept, and they call it Ubuntu, which is I am because we are. And think about that. You go into that culture, and when they revere someone, they honor someone, it's because that person is giving the most to the collective and they are thriving themselves. And so everybody looks at that person and says, I honor that person. I revere that person. I want to be like that person, right? Think about how different that is than the West. Who do we revere? Pretty much the biblical definition of false prophets. They stand up, they look like they have power, wealth, they look like they're having a great life, but they're taking. They're not giving. They're not raising the collective, with some exceptions, right? Not everybody's like that, but most of the people in the public eye are not raising the collective. So what does that mean? It means it's up to us. And every one of us, we have the ability, the divine ability to create that collective and to raise each other up. So what could that service look like? Now I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the 16-week program that I'm really excited about because it's a whole new way of providing a mechanism, providing a container for you to do this service. So the 16-week program, we're going to go around the medicine wheel, all 4 directions. We're going to learn a bunch of practical techniques about how to put your body into a regenerative state, how to feed your heart, how to do service in these new ways. But I want to make it very clear, this is not Mark's program. This is a co-created container where we all bring our medicine into the container and we're learning and teaching at the same time. It's a very different model, right? So part of that contribution, and actually this whole idea is referred to as contributionism. So the whole idea behind contributionism is that you give to elevate the container and you get back from it, right? We're doing it kind of in a microcosm in our little group. And we've already got 5 or 6 people signed up to do this. And I'm excited to see how many we get before March 21st. But the idea is, if you want to pay for the program, you can. If you have more monetary abundance than time, fine, you can do that. Or you can go the other end of the spectrum if you have no money and you can't afford it, but you want to contribute service. What it works out to be is about 70 hours of service over 16 weeks. A lot of time, right? It's only 2 hours-ish a week. So what does that service look like? This is where your own integrity comes in. I'm not going to tell you, you have to go do, you have to go feed the homeless, or you have to go do trail maintenance on public parks or whatever. You can do those things if that's what resonates with you. But think about somebody who's a sole caregiver in their household, and they're already spending 110% of their time just surviving. And they do all the cooking, all the cleaning, they do all the healthcare, running appointments, all those kinds of things. To me, that is service. You're being of service to the collective, your collective, right? I would think that counts if you're in integrity with it. So how can I do this, right? Because it's on the, from the cynical Western perspective, you could do the 16-week healing program for free. But I know it's not free. I know that the benefit to the world, to use a military term, it's a force multiplier. You're going out and doing service so that you can be part of this collective. And so by being a co-creator, me, of this collective, I'm part of what's causing that service to happen. So if I get 10 people in the group and they're all doing 70 hours of service, that's 700 hours of service that happened that I couldn't do myself in a million years. And then whoever contributes money helps to keep the whole thing going in the 3D world we live in, to pay for platforms and tools and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's kind of a win-win. I want to talk about the the third space idea, though, and see if that resonates with you. And I'd love to hear from you just for a minute. You can either come off of mute and come into the chat, or you can do a text chat. But I'd like to hear from you where your third space is, or if you don't have one, what's your idea about that? Does that feel like the right way to describe it? It's okay. You don't have to. I just thought it would maybe resonate with others that are watching this, maybe with the recording. But if you're thinking about that, that's sufficient. What is your third space? And if you don't have one, then this is definitely for you. So we talked about the invitation. The collective container starts on the 21st, and like I said, we already have several people signed up for it. And there's also the ability to connect not only with the group, but one-on-one, because one of the ideas that was suggested to me by Spirit is, from an accountability perspective, is connecting you with a peer in the group. And you will be each other's accountability. You'll help each other with ideas about how to provide service, being creative, engaging your creativity, and also talk about challenges, affirm each other, support each other, that kind of thing. So it's not just going to be you out trying to figure it out yourself. Again, this is a community, so we're all going to do it together. So what I would like to do is invite you, if you're interested, to connect with me one-on-one, and I'll have a link below the recording when I post it so that you can do that, and we'll work out to see where you fit in this. I think the training, I'm going to talk about the training in a minute, but I think the training is pretty valuable in terms of, it's not just the Andean wisdom, although that is pretty cool. It's about the practical techniques to heal mind, body, and spirit, and the integration of those things in practical terms, right? So it's going to be us doing it together. I mentioned last week that over the last 8 months I've gained 20 pounds, and I know how to take it off, and we're going to do it together. Whether you have weight to lose or weight to gain or whatever, it's about balance. It's about healthy balance. So we're going to do that together. I'd love to get any input from you, whether you're watching the recording, you can put it in the chat, or here online. How do you feel about this idea of contributionism, where you're giving to raise the collective, and the collective is taking care of you? Anybody can put it in chat or come off mute if you want to. That's okay. Oh, Angelina.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited. I love the contribution aspect of it. I'm even getting my son involved. We looked up food shelves in our area. We just moved to Kingman, and so we're not real familiar with the area. We love to feed the homeless as a family, and so we were kind of looking at ways that we can give to our community. And so we were looking up some food distribution areas, and so we're excited to jump on board. But as a mom, I'm so excited that I can engage my kid in this too. So it's not just in the group, it's your home life and how you can resonate that energy and that love. So I'm excited to join forces with this group. It also, I'm excited about the way that Spirit has led you to co-create this, because it allows a safe place for everyone to be vulnerable and heal those wounded spaces that we just cover up and feel so isolated with. And this is a safe place. And when you shared the information with me, I was so thrilled. And right away, I felt that gut instinct of, oh my gosh, it's going to be exposure, because the vulnerability, but that's where the healing happens.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful way to do that in community and to be in service to one another and to our local communities. And what a beautiful way to just give the world love, especially this time. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful heartfelt share. That's what we're going to be um, cultivating, engendering in the group for sure. And I get such an excited, warm feeling in my heart when I think about the possibilities of what even a small group of people can do when we get together. The changes that we can make, because it's like, dropping a pebble in a pond and watching the ripples. It always is like that. And our own individual healing is like that too. When we start to clear our shadows and we start to, heal ourselves and improve aspects of our life that we're not happy with, it heals everyone around us. I've seen it in my own life. I see it in everybody who's on this awakening path, whatever it looks like for them, right? So thank you, thank you, thank you. And anybody else who's watching this, share your own experiences down below in the comments, because we'd love to hear about how this idea impacts you or resonates with you or not. Any fears you have about it, that kind of thing. We want to hear all of it. It's all welcome. So thank you. So let's talk about the awakening path, the training. So I'm calling this the Vital Harmony Cohort. It kind of going back to basics of the idea of vital harmony, which is harmony is not optional. Harmony is the way that we should live to be healthy. Why should? Because we want to be healthy. We want to be healthy, happy, fulfilled human beings. And I've learned the hard way, and you probably have too, or maybe you're not quite there yet, and that's fine, is that we heal in community. So the first thing that we try to do when we're hurting, emotionally, physically, whatever, is we isolate. And it's really, really hard to heal when you're isolated, right? We know that. You can stay stuck for a long time when you're isolating yourself. And so this is about that, giving you a safe, vulnerable place to bare your soul, to show your shadows, and know that we all have shadows. And I've heard this called the journey of the wounded healer as well, because it's not the Western concept of this idealized, person who's already healed and, they're speaking wisdom from the mountaintop and you should do whatever they say. No, we do this together, especially in this container. We've got a lot of really powerful practitioners in different modalities that are going to bring in their own knowledge. We have people that are just starting on their awakening path. We have people that have been practicing for years. So we're all bringing our collective wisdom to teach, not just learn. And that's really exciting to me, that that's going to happen, because I feel like I'm going to learn a whole bunch. The Caro shamans in the Andes talk about walking a dual path of being confident in embodying the wisdom that you have, but at the same time having a completely beginner's mind. Think about the implications of that. We don't see that in the public. People love to stand on soapboxes and talk about what they know and why they're right. and validate that feeling by getting feedback from other people saying, oh yeah, you're right, that's the way we should believe. That's kind of the opposite of the energy that the wisdom keepers from the Karo teach. The idea is, yeah, you've learned some stuff, and you can help yourself and other people, and that's wonderful to have that mission and to have that idea of how to be of service. But at the same time, once you think you've got it figured out, you stop collecting information. You stop taking in new information. You stop learning. And so that's why the beginner's mind is so important. It's also a Buddhist concept, right? They talk about having a beginner's mind. So there must be something to it. So I say all that to say that's very much the spirit of the container that we're building, is to learn from each other. There's another great work that I refer to quite a bit called The Law of One. It's also called The Raw Materials. And it's channeled information. It's 5 books. And it really expanded my mind the first time I read it. And every time I go back to it, I get something new from it. But the beings that are teaching in that collective container that's documented in the book talk about learn, teach, teach, learn. They have trouble with English sometimes, so they try to combine words to get the meaning that they want to us. Learn, teach, teach, learn. In other words, they don't see any difference between learning and teaching. It's 2 sides of the same coin. You can't teach without learning. And you can't learn without teaching, if it's interactive, right? So that's very much the spirit of this container that we want to engender, is bring all your gold, all your wisdom, all your shadows, all your darkness, all of it. It's all welcome. And we'll process it together, we'll learn together, and we'll teach together. So that kind of sets the context, if you will, for the container. And like I said, that gets me really excited. I get really passionate when I talk about it because it's so different than other classes and stuff that you would take online or in person. So what are we going to learn? What are we going to teach? What is the path, right? So the structure is following the 4 directions as laid out by the Karo wisdom keepers, right? In the south, we start in the south, and the south is about the body, the physical body, our vessel on the earth, right? And if our vessel isn't healthy and balanced and in harmony, it's really hard for us to do almost anything else. So whether you have chronic conditions, whether you have health issues, regarding weight or energy, vitality, you feel tired all the time, whatever it is, it's about balance. So this is a holistic, in the true sense of the word, approach to whatever is out of balance with you, right? It's not the Western approach where we take a symptom, oh, I'm tired all the time, and we find a solution and we marry that up, and then we look for the next symptom and the next solution. And we're on this treadmill because we're not thinking about all the things that are out of balance with us collectively, like the Karo do. And I found this way of looking at it and this way of teaching and learning to be completely transformational. It essentially saved my life. If you've heard my story before, you know that I had chronic pain to the point where I could barely function. And if I took the medications, I could barely think. And also I was extremely overweight because I couldn't move. And, I still have some pounds to lose, but I've lost over 100 pounds. Just focusing on balance. It wasn't a weight loss program, right? It was a balance program. It was finding that vital harmony, that Ayni that was missing in my life. So we move on from the body to the West, and they talk about the West in terms of jaguar, courage, facing our shadows. It's the mind. And the Karo don't really differentiate too much between the emotional mind and the rational mind. They look at it as kind of all one thing. We make a big deal about separating those 2 things, I realize, but it's all the same to them. And the mind is about not tricking yourself into hurting yourself, which we do all the time, right? With our thought patterns, with our choices, with our perception, which we know from many, many different modalities that your perception forms your reality. So the West, Otorongo, the jaguar, is about facing your shadows and claiming your sovereignty when it comes to your perception, because your perception is everything. You can be in the deepest dark night of the soul moment, as Carl Jung would talk about, but if your perception is this is happening for me, not to me, and it's all catalyst for my transformation so that I can heal, that's a very different way to get up in the morning than, oh God, what next? The next thing that's going to victimize me, or I'm going to victimize myself, right? So that's the West. The North, we move from kind of the 3D world that we live in with the body and the mind. The North is where we start getting into the spiritual realm. And what that's about is connecting with our ancestral wounds, the things that we've carried and taken on from our parents, from our ancestors. And our model there is the hummingbird. The hummingbird is an impossible creature. It shouldn't be able to exist. It's got tiny little wings, and yet it has the energy to flap those wings thousands of times during the day and do whatever it needs to do. And it knows how to have stillness in flight, and it knows how to drink the sweet nectar from life. And the most important part of all that to me in terms of your healing journey is that they take this impossible migration every year. They fly from, South America to Canada with these tiny little wings and high winds and cold and all that stuff. I don't know how they do it. Scientists don't know how they do it. So they're a model to us that we can make an impossible journey because we're perceiving that's impossible. And we just do it. If we just do it anyway, like the hummingbird does, then we can truly heal. And we can address not only ourselves, but our family and our ancestor, the wounds that we've taken on from all those places, and realize what's ours and what's not. And finally realize the sweetness of life. Then finally we end up with the East. Now we're in the spiritual realm. The eagle and the condor fly together. That's part of a prophecy. It's actually the first Karo prophecy that I learned, where in the I'll use the biblical term, the end times. The eagle and the condor fly together to show us that unification is possible. And it's not the end times in the biblical sense where it's gloom and doom and rapture and people dying and called up to heaven. The Karo look at this as a very positive, very hopeful, very joyful time, because all of the old systems that we've taken on to oppress us are falling away. They're crumbling, and we're making room for new systems to come in that are joyful and harmonious. So the eagle and the condor, the east direction, teach us to see everything as energy, see everything from high above. And all of the dynamics and all the systems, we can look at all of this stuff happening almost kind of like in a dispassionate or impersonal way, even if it involves us. The eagle gives us the clarity to look down on ourselves and how we're living our life without judgment and without emotion. To just say, yep, that happened. Yep, I see that pattern. And then we can go around the medicine wheel in the other directions and bring on the techniques to actually change those patterns. But the eagle and the condor give us the clarity to see the pattern. They give us perfect vision, perfect insight, right? So that's kind of the pattern or the course that we're going to chart. Now, within each one of those directions, I've done this many times, as you can probably guess. We're going to bring in some of the wisdom of the Karo and the Andes people for sure. But this is where we can all bring things in. I know that we've got one person coming into the container who's an expert in breath work. We've got a sound healer. We've got a Lakota medicine singer and sun dancer. So we've got all this incredible wisdom in the container. So it's not going to be, Mark droning on about whatever the topic is this week. It's going to be all of us coming in and bringing in our wisdom. And also, the part that I get really excited about is sharing our experiences out doing services with people, talking about our challenges, talking about the impact that we see or not see. Again, this isn't all about, butterflies and puppies. We want to hear about challenges and what shadows come up for you when you're out there doing what you're doing, because this is how we improve and this is how we heal collectively. So that's kind of the path. What's the outcome? So at the end of the 16 weeks, what do you get besides a certificate, which you will get? But what do you get besides the certificate, right? We're going to have a graduation ceremony the format of it has come directly from Spirit, and it's going to be all about honoring your journey, individual journey, and looking at the path you took to heal yourself through service in the community. The things you learned, the challenges you overcame, the challenges you didn't overcome, you're still working on, whatever it is. So this is going to be an amazing retrospective for you individually and for us collectively. And it follows a shamanic tradition that's actually not Karo, it's Toltec, Aztec, and it's called recapitulation. And the idea is that you look back across your life at painful memories, and you bring those memories back into your consciousness, into your field, so that you can keep the love and you can keep the learning, but you can let the bad feelings go. You can disconnect from them. And they talk about it in terms of freeing yourself from the enslavement of your past. It's a really powerful concept, right? So all of this is kind of leading up to the recapitulation of what did you accomplish in the 16 weeks. And like I said, it's really exciting for me to see that. I've been doing this on an individual basis and with family members for a while. And I can tell you it's a really powerful technique to let go of the things in the past that you need to let go of, while keeping the things that are resonating with who you are becoming. And that's the key. This whole program is about helping you move from being a slave of your past to welcoming in the person that you've always meant to be. You were always put here to be that person. And it's about time, right? It's about time. And the world needs it. It needs all of us to step into our power. And the only power that I know of, the only true power, is love. And so when you step into loving yourself, loving your community, loving the world unconditionally, things change. And it's also the only way that I've learned that you can throw off the yoke and the chains that connect you to all the things that don't serve you, all the unhealthy patterns we see in the world, the war, the oppression, the death, all the things that we're constantly bombarded with in the media. This is how we counter that. It's not through more violence. It's through love. And there's no way to counter love because it's connected to source and it's the prime power. So all of the other things that are not love are created by us. They're created by our patterns and our choices because we have free will. We can make whatever choice we want, right? Individually and collectively. So with that, I will pause. And if anybody has any comments as we close here, I welcome them. You don't have to, but I would love to hear from you if you have something to say. Okay, good. I feel really good about that. I think I think our collective energy here is kind of building the foundation for the container. And again, if you're watching the recording, I encourage you to comment and let us know what you thought. Thank you, Corey. He says, I agree. Contributionism for community is lacking, strengthens the community. Yep, absolutely. So let's do something about that, Corey. Let's make it happen. And tell your friends, share this concept with them. Again, this is the more we bring into the collective, the more service and the more healing is going to happen, right? And I'm going to be evangelizing this idea from now on, and getting as many people interested in it as I can. So please do the same. If you think this is a good path and you think this is the right way to do it, talk about it, share it. Anybody and everybody is welcome in the container. Okay? So, with that, I'd like to close the energy from the Wiracocha for the group. We'll bring the extra down to Pachamama and close my Wiracocha. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining and bringing your love and your heart into the circle. And we'll see you on March 21st. And I'll be talking to the group before then too, but we'll see you in the collective on the 21st. Bye-bye.